on the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast. It is week 10 in the NFL season. It is my second favorite week of the year as a college basketball lunatic because my favorite sport is back. There's plenty to get to this episode. As always, we even have a special surprise in store for you folks. Stay tuned. But Dave, first of all, introductions. Hello, how are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing great. Reeling from yet another disappointing Cowboys loss as you are on your end. But I think I'm more disappointed in the lack of trick-or-treaters I received on Friday night. We think we got 5 individual stops, door knocks, but about a dozen kids in total. And I don't know, it was a little sad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I feel like the world has a candy problem right now because in my neighborhood, I had the kids out. We got the 7-month-old son. We got the just over 2-year-old daughter. And I feel like Halloween's built for a family like mine right now. Not to be selfish, not to make it all about us. But we're going around and there's just like 17-year-old boys, not even in costume, like racing my 2-year-old daughter to get the king size bars. It was frustrating. But here we are. We persevered. Sometimes things don't go your way, as our NFL team showed you this weekend, and you still got to show face and show up the next week. That's what you and I have done. We have a big show in store for you today. We'll start with Week 9 takeaways. Like I said, we've got a Week 10 early preview, fantasy waiver wire, a college basketball preview coming as well, and even targets for the NBA King of the Court as always. But we begin, as we usually do, with our takeaways from Week 9 of the NFL.
The week that was.
Daniels was heartbreaking at the end of that Commanders game, but injuries have been the story of this NFL season.
Seriously, I mean, and they are every year, right? But it feels like the most high-profile guys, week to week, somebody is getting hurt with something significant right as they're starting to cook sometimes. Tucker Kraft, the latest guy breaking out to get hurt. Tough injury for Jayden Daniels, non-throwing arm, but the way the season has gone for Washington, you got to be a little concerned about putting him back out there if he's able to return later on. Projections-wise, for the Commanders, we've got Mariota for 221 passing yards. Deebo's topping out at 50.7. Failed to lead the way without McLaurin. LMC, that's Luke McCaffrey to you folks, is done for the season, most likely. Deebo's 36% touchdown probability is the highest in that game for a passing game touchdown. So pretty tough outlook for the Commanders. On the Packers side, one of the breakout stories of this year, Tucker Kraft, torn ACL. Real chance he's back by the start of next season or very early on. The turnaround time for that injury when it's not a mess of the knee is better than it has been in past years. But Matthew Golden also, I think, left that game with a shoulder injury. So some Packers voids to fill. Dobbs right now projects as our leading receiver in that game, just about 50 yards. Christian Watson at 39. I think both have more upside than that with a big void, but the Eagles game, probably not the best to readjust to that, though.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's been brutal to see. I mean, I don't know. Tucker Kraft, I feel like we had mentioned multiple weeks in a row on this show, and for him to be next in line is heartbreaking. Jayden Daniels, I mean, the story of the Commander season has been his availability. So for such a blowout to be the moment where that happens, you heard Dan Quinn come out and basically say that's 100% on me. It's hard not to agree with that. It'd be heartbreaking to be a Commanders fan or just be a fan of the NFL and enjoy watching Jayden Daniels and have to survive what just happened. Outside of the injury circle, the injury tent here, I had my eyes on the Kyle Monangai breakout. We did call this out a couple weeks ago on this channel, and it ended up coming to fruition. Now, DeAndre Swift was out entirely. That's part of why this came together, but he almost hit 200 total yards. And even if Swift is back, I would think Monangai has earned himself a pretty serious role within this offense, referenced it multiple times, but Ben Johnson has always been a 2 running back guy. If DeAndre Swift is kind of the finesse Jahmyr Gibbs in the new look Bears offense, feels like Monangai has a pretty obvious role as the goal line back, as the David Montgomery type that will just run into a wall and knock people over. He did it at will this past week. But are you buying Monangai down the line here the rest of the season?
Yeah, he kind of seems like the heir apparent in this backfield. Swift, I think he's on a 2-year, $24 million deal, something like that. So not something they can't move on from pretty easily. When that's done, you got the rookie control for Monangai. If Swift is out again, I'd feel wheels up on Monangai as an RB2. If he's not, I'd still feel pretty good that he's at the very least the clear 1B in the backfield, maybe took the 1A, and you've got to be feeling pretty good about it. 9.2 PPR points in our early projections, 34% TD probability, which is really big for him from previous weeks, 6.6% for 2. Giants allowing 121 rushing yards and almost a full rushing TD per game, 30th most fantasy points. Yeah, pretty good spot for both Bears RBs, but Kyle Monangai in particular coming off that hot breakout.
Yep. And if you stashed him on your fantasy team, you are reaping the benefits right now. It's why you listen to the waiver wire that Dave's going to have for us later in the show. One more takeaway from last week. Let's talk about my division here, the Detroit Lions division, the NFC North. No one wants to win it, seemingly. Goodness gracious. The Packers, the Lions, just disappointing right now. What do you make of this division, Dave? What's going to happen here?
Almost would say close your eyes and throw a dart and bet on the team that you pick to win, because I think that's about as good as any of us can give you any insight. Obviously, our model is, favoring the Lions and the Packers. Most overall has been on the Lions side the whole time, but I think you have a 1-game difference between first. Maybe it's three quarters of a game. I don't know. The ties got me all messed up in the standings, but the Vikings are in last at 4-4. Every team is available at plus money right now, so you can't go wrong, especially if you're taking one of the long shots and one of the favorites. Before this week, we had the Bears at 3.7 to win the division, a very slight value at plus 3,000 with fair odds at 2,600. Now they're plus 1,100. Vikings went from plus 6,000 to plus 1,400, a team that I was wrong. I will have, I'm not going to hide from it, said they were the trick of the week, and they tricked me most of all, thinking they were not going to do anything. So it's a total wheel of defeat. Packers beat the Lions, who drubbed the Bears, who lost the Vikings, who just beat the Lions. It's just the division's eating itself. And if you like gritty old football, I don't think you can get much better than the NFC North right now.
It's a fun league with the storylines. Like I always bring it up, but Ben Johnson in the same division as his former team. He's injected new life into Chicago. Then you've got JJ McCarthy, who I know we've discussed him. It's a different offense with McCarthy involved. It doesn't always look pretty, but there's just a level of belief and his ability on the ground that can take that offense to new heights. I think the Packers are still very good. In fact, maybe the class of the league with the questions that the Lions have on the offensive line right now. But you're right. You could convince me any of these teams is the value bet right now. And I think I would be able to nod my head in agreement. I'm just going to sit back and watch it play out from here. Okay. We are also going to look backwards at some things that last week you could have made some money on with us. What should we have bet last week?
Should have bet that.
Bit of good, bit of close calls last week. We'll get to those as well. Started off with hitting our Thursday Night Football same game parlay. Pretty much as good of a start to the week as you can get. Plus 700. Cashed it at over plus 900 if you use the DraftKings boost, which was a strategy we talked about. Pretty much the go-to that I do on Thursdays. This is one of the first bets I lock in is our SGP. Once I publish the article, I use the boost and paid off this past week in prime fashion. Speaking of parlays, cashed this NHL parlay that I wrote up an article for on Saturday. Just nothing particularly special here. Just use the NHL tools on site. Guys who are in the props, guys who are in the trends, picked 3 guys who had a solid chance to score and a good goalie matchup, which was also a very key part of this. Cashed it pretty quickly in each game as well. 16-1 odds here. This is the 3rd NHL winner we've showed by us or a user that we've shared on this show in the past couple of weeks. Can't overstate it. The NHL tools are really good. There's some really good stuff in there. And when you put them all together, we've found some winning angles several times this season alone. And it's a very young season so far. Dimers Platinum, nice snapback last week, return to form. Oops, sorry, I just pulled up the wrong week there. But anyway, we got back to the winning ways. We are up over 5 units on the season. And if you happen to play all of the alternate spreads on the first quarters, which I like to do as a side play week to week, that crushed as an over 20-1 parlay. Oh, well, actually, it would have been better, but I couldn't bet UConn in-state team. But it was nice to see them get some love from the Platinum model in the bets this week. So pretty good week all around. We did have some close calls. The Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes touchdown parlay. Chiefs are on the one twice. No love for Mahomes there. My Halloween parlay, 38 points by the Seahawks. JSN doesn't get a touchdown. We cashed Jake. Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. Still put up over 100 yards too. And
they were throwing the practice squad guys. Truly, they had two different receivers catch their first career touchdown as they're up 38-0, and Smith-Njigba was nowhere.
Yeah, that guy, a second guy, Cody White or something. I had a Barner and something, so I was like, "Oh, Barner," and then nope, it was a guy catching his 6th target in the last 2 years of the NFL. So, whatever, And like I said, we cashed the one Jacobs TD, not the latter, but bunch of close calls, some good reads, and we still came out with some pretty nice dubs.
Love it. All right. Much to applaud ourselves for. More importantly, applaud the model. Let's be real about it. It's the model that's guiding us to some wins. But as there usually is, there was plenty to celebrate last week. So hopefully you were able to cash some of these tickets along with us. Reminder, Dimers Pro is where you can get all these insights for yourself all season long. Whether it's the NFL, whether it's NBA that you're betting, college basketball is here. Pick a sport. We've got the data for you. Promo code podcast. You get 50% off your first purchase of Dimers Pro. In fact, Dave, this is a good segue because we want to showcase some of the Dimers model results. We're going to bring our colleague Jason onto the show next to help us do so.
The sweet spot.
What up, Jace?
Hey guys.
What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I am on board. Hopefully you can hear me okay. This is my first appearance on the Dimers Sports Betting Podcast, which is cool.
Jason, it looks like you're coming to us live from like a cozy holiday den right now. Is that a fair representation?
I am working from the kitchen currently. If I move my camera just over a little bit, we haven't taken the Halloween decorations down just yet, so you'll see a dead old woman behind me. So I'll keep that in the shot. But currently working from the kitchen. I am based out of California. For anyone who's listening, the accent is Australian. I do live in America. Apologies if you don't understand me. My wife is American and she doesn't understand me half the time. So if I'm speaking too fast throughout this, just let me know. I'll try and slow it down, not say words that end in ER, water, butter, all that kind of stuff. People don't understand it. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to show you through a little something I've been working on here at Diamonds. For anyone that doesn't know, I am part of the Diamonds team, have been for around about 5 years. My job now is kind of entrenched in engaging with Diamonds Pro users and subscribers and trying to help them get the most out of Dimers, the site itself. So I wanted to kind of show you guys through something that I've been working on to help kind of identify some spots where a model has been excelling and kind of showcase how you can use the model insights reports that we've been rolling out recently to do that. So what I might do, guys, I might just try and share my screen. It's a bad experience for anyone who's listening via the podcast feed, but if you're watching on YouTube here, you'll be able to kind of dig into it and see. So give me just a second. I'll bring this up.
Yeah.
Also a good plug to watch the video versions of this show, which we would love.
Yes. Okay. So
you could see Jace's corpse lady in the background if you watch the video.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'll preface this by just giving some context. So Dimers, we've been in operation for 5 years. As I said, I've been here since kind of day one. I think our first week was when the NBA bubble restarted back in COVID days. And I'm really in the trenches. I'm on the Discord. I'm in the customer service line. I answer the emails, all that kind of stuff. I'd say the number one question I get is, what is your record? How successful is Dimers as a model? And that's always a difficult question to answer because the way that our model and our site and our business kind of works is that we are designed to try and find market inefficiencies. We're trying to find out where the sports books are getting the lines wrong based upon the best available information and conditions at the time. So if you think about it, I'll use this example. It's NFL. We will put up our projections on as soon as a sports book put up their lines. So generally that's on a Sunday night or a Monday before the next week. So we'll have an opening line value based upon those lines and projections. But as we know, as things go on during the week, sharp money comes in, hits the line a little bit, injuries, weather, all that kind of stuff will kind of dictate how odds progress over time. And as a cause and effect of that, how will that impact our projections? So we might find an edge on something on a Monday that is vastly different to what happens on a Sunday. Star quarterback gets ruled out from injury, all that kind of stuff. So the difficult question to answer is, okay, well, our record could be different because your experience can be different when you visit the site on a Monday compared to when you visit the site on a Sunday. So someone could see a bet that's not on the site on a Sunday and it's a different experience. So we can't always give a black and white answer to what's our record because our model is trained to find the best available price for users at the time you're visiting the site. And that's why we kind of recommend checking the site regularly, finding the spots that work best, and then kind of going from there. So we've been working really, really hard on trying to remove a lot of the, friction there for users that want a bit more detail and transparency in terms of how the model is going. And we've been doing some back-end behind the scenes work to try and do that. And what we've been able to do is through these model insights reports, which are going out to Diamonds Pro users 3 times a week. So NHL today on Tuesday, NBA on Wednesday, and NFL on Thursday, is we are trying to show where the model is showing historical positive ROI and recommending that you kind of keep an eye out on that when you're visiting the best pets pages during the week to try and figure out, okay, this is where the model has historically thrived in certain conditions and elements. Does that all make sense so far?
Yeah. We know it is helpful for, I think, other people. And like you said, it is probably the biggest inquiry we get day to day, week to week about performance of the model. Yeah,
absolutely. So I shared the NBA one accidentally, but I'll share the NHL one that I've just put out today. So essentially what I'm trying to do here with these model insights reports is I'm trying to take the back-end dashboard reporting data model that we have, back-end reporting dashboard that we have, trying to find the spots where the model is returning a significant ROI. And this could change as well, or vary from one person to the next based upon where you live. If you live in a state that doesn't have a sports book like a Bet365, it might be different, etc. So we try and give a significant positive ROI in the email to kind of show, okay, this is the spot that you should attack. So I'll do this each and every week for Diamonds Pro subscribers. You'll get it straight to your email inbox, and it'll show you essentially the spots that I think you should be attacking, or we think you should be attacking for the next week. So if we look at the NHL one that just came out, this week's highlights is that we're seeing so far it's early stages of the season, so the sample sizes are small. But so far we're seeing significant return on investment for home team moneyline bets that appear on the best bets page. It's important to remember because we don't force out a bet for every single game. We only recommend bets where our model has found an edge on the sportsbook's odds. So where we think the sportsbooks have got it wrong, then you'll see the best bet appear on the best bets page. So the sample size at the moment is around about just over 15 bets for the 2025 season. Going down further, another spot here, kind of combine the puck line bets between 2 and 5% edge range. That's another one returning a significant return on investments. And I kind of granularly define this as well by closing line puck line bets between the 2 to 5% edge range as well. So overall, it's been performing well, but just a call out as well that if you're someone that doesn't, I guess, religiously refresh the site as soon as odds go up, and you like to check odds and bets before kind of a game starts, the closing line still is a successful kind of spot to attack. So how does that translate to, I guess, what you see on the best bets page? If I go to today's NHL page here, at the moment, we've got, based upon the attacks that we have the attack spots, we have the Predators at the moment falling in on the puck line between that 2 to 5% edge range. They're 3.9. This has been kind of going up and down throughout the course of the day. DraftKings had the best odds earlier. Right now it's FanDuel at minus 132. So this really falls within our range here as to kind of, okay, this is a bet that historically has been performing well for our model, and that's what to keep an eye out on. It's not to say these bets below aren't great as well. Our model still identifies them as plus EV bets and mispriced sportsbook lines, but historically the puck line bets for the Predators have shown the best kind of return on investment. So just want to give you guys a quick kind of rundown as to kind of how that works, how you can take the attacks to the spots to attack, and then go to the best bets page throughout the course of the week, and then kind of line that up against, okay, what is actually displaying on the best bets page. So that's the long and short of it. I think that just about covers it. But if you guys have any other ideas or thoughts or questions, I can field those as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that you point out that it's important that these are bets that feature on the best bets page, because as you watch the show, you've seen us pull up NFL game previews and go to the best bets section of these where you'll find the money line, spread, and total. And sometimes they have a negative edge, but the bet is there to show that value. So if you're going through these predictions and you're like, oh, I see that the puck lines have been really good returns, but you're going through them in those pages, you might find bets that don't actually fit that criteria. So it's important to find those bets by going to the specific NHL best bets page or appropriate sport on the site.
Yeah. And a great call out as well, just on the NFL one that we sent out last Thursday, is that lines do change throughout the course of the week. I send that email out for NFL on Thursdays, and I put a call out in the email essentially saying that the model's been performing extremely well on Seahawks totals, so Seahawks total game points. And at the time of publishing, I think we had something like a 1.7% edge. But then as the week progressed, those odds changed. And then it got to a point where our model was detecting a significant edge that kind of fell within that range. So that's why we kind of encourage, don't just take the email as gospel that we're sending out, but use that as a guide to keep checking that best bets page throughout the week, because things change more often than you probably realize throughout the course of a week in terms of odds. Lines, all that kind of stuff. And I've been working here for 5 years. Doing the Model Insights report in the last couple of weeks has completely changed the way I use dimers myself to kind of see, okay, where are these attack spots that I should be focusing my energy on? So at the moment, this is all going to be through email. A reminder to get it, you just have to go onto Dimers, obviously have a subscription, go into your account preferences on your dashboard and select the sports that are your preferred sports. So in this case, it'd be NHL, NBA, and NFL. We're going to have college basketball coming soon once we have a little bit of data on that to show where those sweet spots are. And then this is going to be extended to a signal on the site. So there'll be a tag, so you don't have to kind of marry up the email to the best bets page. You can kind of go onto the site. There'll be a specific tag that will tell you, these sweet spots as well.
Jason, I have a question for you as a 5-year veteran here. And this is pure curiosity. There may not be a good answer to this. Over 5 years, is there any particular sport that we feel we found generally has like a higher best bet hit rate than other sports, or is it truly non-sport specific?
Yeah, I would say it kind of varies. It comes in kind of waves. And a good example of this was we ran a model for WNBA for the first time in 2024. And we kind of saw that boom last year more so with WNBA betting, and kind of in 2024 it was very niche. It kind of still is niche, but it kind of showed an inefficiency in terms of popularity, or a lack of popularity in betting in 2024 led to us being able to really price, like kind of outsmart the books to an extent. So it kind of comes down to, historically, NFL is a really difficult sport to get a long-term profitability because the sportsbook lines are the sharpest they've ever been. But you'll see that with those niche sports, I think you might see a little bit more success. NHL is a great one. We're having great success. I'd say it's probably our most successful sport of 2025 right now in terms of historical return on investment. And I don't know if that's just because it's down to not as many people bet NHL as they do NBA or NFL. But that's why I'm also excited, and not to let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but this week, over the coming days, you'll see women's college basketball models up on site. And I don't know of anyone, if anyone, in terms of other competitors or other sites that are actually doing prediction models for women's college basketball. So if we have anything to go by with our success with the WNBA in the early days, I'm really kind of bullish around our prospects around kind of catching the book snapping a little bit on women's college basketball in the coming weeks.
Love it. That's exciting. As a college fan, that seems like a great market to try and tackle. I'm in.
Yeah. Cool. So I think that's it from me. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll go back into the shadows and listen from afar.
Thank you, Jace. Jace is also a half producer on this show, so we thank him for his time and effort that he puts into the show as well, even when he's not featured here.
I'll be editing the full length version of this. I'll give myself a few touch-ups and things like that.
There you go.
Love it. And now for the people at home too, there's a face to the name of the Dimers model. For years, I've just been envisioning Jason's face anytime we talk about the model. So there you have it. Jace, have a good day, my friend. Thank you very much. All right, Dave, it is time to look forward to week 10 in the NFL. Let's take a look at our top week 10 against the spread picks.
The early edge.
We had a rare 2 blowout week last week, 1-2 overall for the model. Just means it's time for a bounce back this week. What are we looking at?
Yeah, hopefully none of these games have the comedy of errors that the Cowboys did in that game. That just the momentum completely pivoted, I think, on that fourth, the 4 and out, and then the defense actually showed up in a game that they also killed them. So I don't know, but we move on to the next picks. It's week 10, and our first early value is on another NFC East squad, the Giants plus 3.5 at the Bears. This is a 58.9% probability, 6.5% edge, so pretty high up there early in the week. Bears are one of the hottest teams against the spread in the NFL, covered in 5 of their last 6. Also a team that the model has been on a lot lately. We are on them last week to cover against the Bengals. They did. That was our spread pick, or early pick of the week that won. They had to pull it out of a hat at the end, but they did, in fact, cover. The offense is gaining some serious momentum. Monangai has emerged. Caleb Williams, his play continues to be up and down, but all the upside is there, especially against poor defenses, and a little more on that in a minute. The Bears defense has been pretty vulnerable lately, I'll say, 77 points in the last 2 weeks. However, the Giants certainly lack the firepower of those Ravens and Bengals offenses that put up those numbers against the Bears. And this Giants offense feels a little capped without Scadaboo and Neighbors, but you got to see that Dart is really coming along. He's taking pretty good care of the football, not really turning it over. He's showing the rushing upside, so he's got the dual threat ability. And they hung in there with the 49ers. You know, they fell back early, but were in there the whole rest of the way, pretty much going blow for blow with them. The model has this game over 47.5 at 53%. And I'll be honest, that's a play I like more than the spread. I do like this game for a lot of betting value. I don't think the Giants are, out of range to cover this. I'm not trying to go against the model here or anything, but I just think that another bet that it also likes of the over is a little bit more my speed in this game. Bears are over at 5-2-1 this season. Giants and Bears both give up a ton of yards. So I think you're going to see longer sustained drives. Big plays probably happen in this, and I think you'll see the points come pretty easily and not really at a premium. And with the total at 47.5, that feels very reachable on the lower end of what I think you would see 2 teams with defenses of this caliber be at.
Yeah. I think that's a good call out in terms of the high scoring potential of this game. It's weird. I have such a weird relationship with this Bears team this year. I think they're almost always a threat to hang big offensive numbers, as they showed down the stretch last week, almost giving that game away. They're also vulnerable to any competent offense, even competent playmakers. Jackson Dart probably qualifies as that right now. I would have liked this a lot more with Scadaboo healthy a couple weeks ago, or certainly with Neighbors involved too. They're so handicapped now, but I think this is the model kind of saying, sniffing out, maybe there are more holes here than the Bears' hot streak, win streak turn to the season has shown. And it's a key football number, catching a field goal, 3.5. I like that. A lot of key field goal numbers here. Moving to another one here. The Niners plus 3.5 next on the list against the Rams, who, man, they've been a juggernaut this year. I'm going to need to be talked into this one. What do you got?
Yeah, so I maybe at first glance felt I need to be talked into it, but doing the research, it does kind of sing to me a little bit, unless there's something I'm missing. But 58.9% probability, 7.7% edge. So even better value here. You're going to get an almost even money, which is really great on a spread. Hold on. Cowboys are trading for Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, sending a first-round pick and more to the Jets.
Hey, breaking news.
Let's go. We're breaking trades on the podcast. Hopefully you don't hear about this trade until you watch this show. And we are basically Ian Rappaport. Sweet. Hey, 2 moves for the Cowboys today. I'll take that. Yeah, no, not bad. All right. Anyway, so 7.7% edge, even better. Like I said, pretty much even money at the spread here. 49ers look to keep their stay afloat by all means season going against this really hot Rams team, winning 3 straight blowouts against the Saints, Jaguars, and Cooper Rush Ravens. But they have looked very good. They are rolling. Puka Nacua came back, immediately did Puka Nacua things, and then got crunched in the ribs. So we'll see if he's playing this week. I think they might try to play it a little careful with him, as it's now his second not significant injury, but, it's not just getting dinged up or whatever. Jawan Jennings has been nursing a rib injury all year, and it's been hurting him. You could see that. So they're hopeful he plays, though. Huge for the 49ers. If not, I think this number is probably cooked in with Puka playing. If not, I think it's a little closer. However, this previous matchup between them this season is pretty much looks on paper what these two teams look like right now. The Niners are pretty much the exact same team offensively. They're going to have Kittle, though. They might have Pearsall back. Defensively, they'll be missing Fred Warner and rookie Michael Williams, but they won that game 26-23. They were not struggling in that one. So 49ers at home to cover here. Models 50-50 on the total, and 3 of the last 4 have gone under. So this just kind of feels like a very classic NFC West game to me. Tight, low scoring, probably not a lot of explosive plays. And if there's no Puka, I really don't see any reason why the Niners couldn't do this again this season. And, you don't need them to win here. Just keep it within a field goal and in a very tight division, which every game matters. I see no reason why not. They're 3-0 in the division so far. So
I'm pretty sure the last time these two teams played earlier this year, I pulled up historical game logs of this series, and the Niners were always within a touchdown of the Rams. It's just one of those matchups you expect close games with. So yeah, at first glance, right now my gut is I don't want any part of fading the Rams. But you laid out a nice case for why the Niners always fare well in this series. So,
and with the spread, you don't have to totally fade them. You can try and middle this even if you want. But the model's got value on the Niners money line, and the underdogs are one of those spots that have been featured in the Dimers model reports for NFL. So something to consider if you are if you like the upset.
100%, 7.7% edge, very high number there. All right, game 3 is one I don't need to be talked into at all. This is an absolute add to my card. Steelers plus a field goal against the LA Chargers, 57% probability here. Smaller edge, but high probability. Pittsburgh just is a tough out, man. This team, sometimes it doesn't even feel like it makes sense, but that defense is just feisty offensively with Rodgers under center. They have enough playmaking to just get 1 to 2 big plays and move the ball down the field when needed. And the Chargers are kind of the inverse of this to me. When I watch LA, I'm like, that team should be a lot better than they actually are. They're a crack the door open and leave it open type of team for well-coached football teams with smart players on both sides of the field. I think Pittsburgh qualifies. I like this number a lot, Dave. What do you have to add?
Yeah, this is my favorite one of the week, so I'm glad to see you basically have the exact same sentiment. You see it and you're like, yeah, I need zero convincing. Look, last week I said I think the Steelers hit a wall. Well, they did, and then they broke through that wall against the Colts because they just showed up in every facet of the game. They made Daniel Jones look like his old self, nightmares all game, 4 sacks and 6 QB pressures, and now the Chargers just lost Joe Alt for the year, further depleted on the O-line, which has already been just a total roadblock for this offense. Justin Herbert's been sacked 28 times, thrown 8 picks under that pressure. You know, the Chargers had to course correct versus the Titans this past week. You know, finding themselves in an early pick 6 hole, couldn't get the run game going, barely beat the Dolphins, lost to the Giants, a really solid squad, well coached, well quarterbacked, but just not a lot explosive players, but just not a lot of optimism in a spot like this. This is my favorite of these 3, like I said. 41% money line probability for the Steelers makes them a value play at about 145 or better. Personally, I'd probably play that to like 125, 120. Wouldn't buy a money line any closer than that, but I certainly think they're in line. They're live for an upset in this game. Should be a low total. The model's 50-50. Total's 45.5. The Chargers defense is good. You know, they have not given up a lot of big plays. 3rd fewest passing yards, tied for the 2nd fewest touchdowns. So while I think the Steelers are going to be, like you said, Greg, a tough out, I don't think it's going to be, you know, at the expense of the Chargers defense just hemorrhaging big plays or anything here. We've got like one of the lowest projections for DK Metcalf all season at 49 yards, and he hasn't topped 5 receptions this year, is relying on the big play. So might be one of those grinders, Kenneth Gainwell, Jaylen Warren type of game. And from just a personal prop angle, I'll be looking at some early Gadsden yards as the Steelers remain one of the poor defenses against tight ends, which continues to be an angle you need to attack week to week. Colson Loveland shredded the Bengals this past week. Just, you know, those tight end defenses, they just can't defend the position. So that's what I'll be looking at in this game on top of the Steelers to keep this one close.
I like the Gadsden shout. I was going to compare it to the Loveland performance that you just nailed as well, which made a lot of people a lot of money if you were banking on him just devastating that defense. So
yeah, that was one of my ladder targets. I did say it would be playable with Kmet out. He did play and then promptly got ruled out, and Loveland did his thing. So yeah.
Breakaway touchdowns help you get there, but he had a big day
before
that big play. So,
yeah.
All right, there you have it. Giants, Niners, Steelers this week 10 against the spread plays. We will lock in our card on the Thursday episode of this show, but there is your early look at it. Let's plug it again. Promo code podcast. Get yourself 50% off of Dimers Pro. See all of these insights for yourself whenever you would like. For now, we turn to the fantasy waiver wire next.
The fantasy waiver wire.
Who's at the top of the list this week, Dave?
You know, I actually don't have someone I would call the must pick up this week. The injuries were Jayden Daniels, Tucker. Usually that's what creates the void, right? The must grab guys. The injury didn't really seem to be like the next man up for any of these particular injuries. You know, I mean, if you need a quarterback, go ahead, Marcus Mariota. Not so great this week. I think they get the Dolphins the week after. That's a very streamable offense for them. But you got the Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, and Titans on a bye. So save for Tennessee, there's a ton of top-tier fantasy players out this week. So somebody's going to be looking for something, and hopefully one of these guys can help you fill in. I'm going to go pretty quick through them, though, because, like I said, none of them are smash must-grab guys, in my opinion. Start with the running backs. Devin Singletary. Well, yes, Tyrone Tracy was my ad of the week last week. Did not materialize for him. It was a pretty split backfield. Week 9 snaps saw Tracy with 22, Singletary with 18, but then Tracy got dinged up. Singletary closed the game, playing almost on the field almost every one of the final 17 plays. If Tracy's injury lingers, Singletary's immediately the top ad. But I would, if he's there, just expect a hot hand approach pretty much the rest of the way with these guys. 8.5 PPR points, 35 rushing yards, 34% TD probability for Singletary. Tracy's at 10 points, 42 yards, but only a 27% touchdown. So, I feel better about Singletary this week than I did last week. But yeah, it's going to be split hot hand. So do what you can with that. Tyler Algier for the Falcons, 36% rostered, which surprises me. Probably just some people dealing with too many injuries and roster crunch, but obviously tons of upside if Bijan misses time. Falcons are one of the heaviest run offenses with top 10 rushing attempts week to week. Algier is trending down a bit in recent weeks, only 10 total touches in this Falcons 3-game losing streak. But he has 4 games with double-digit touches and a score in 3 of those games. And as a flex, touchdown upside is pretty much all you can ask for when you get thin in these bye weeks. I got the Colts, Panthers, and Saints on deck. Probably should be rostered in most formats, I think. 7.2 PPR points, 39% touchdown probability this week. That's huge for an RB2. Only 31 rushing yards, but almost a 41% or 40% touchdown probability is more than we have some teams' top guy in tough spots. So switching to some wide receivers. One of these has been slightly adjusted by some trade deadline news, but not too much. Parker Washington for the Jags. They just traded for Rashid Shaheed. So there's going to be another wideout deep threat in this Jaguars offense. But to me, that just says they anticipate this Brian Thomas Jr. Ankle injury, maybe to be more lingering than it seems. So this is probably just going to mean Washington and Shaheed are the top 2 guys, at least for the next few weeks. 26.4% target share last week, 8 catches and 90 yards. He's already been trending up. Oh, sorry. They didn't trade for Rashid Shaheed. Jacoby Myers. Getting ahead of myself here. Wrong notes. Jacoby Myers. They just got. So still same deal. Actually, even less of a threat to Parker Washington, I think, in that case. So clear top target for Trevor Lawrence in the interim. 9.7 PPR points, 43 yards, and a 27% TD probability this week. Christian Watson, my other wide receiver to target, 28% rostered. This should definitely go up just because of the Tucker Kraft injury alone. Aside from that, Watson's already been trending up just slightly since he came back. It went from a 60% to 75% route share the past couple of weeks. His low volume last week, high upside, just 2 catches, but 58 yards. Tucker Kraft and now possibly Matthew Golden banged up. So they're simply going to need him. They paid him $13 million for this year while he was recovering from the ACL injury. So they like him. They want him to be involved. They're going to target him. And upcoming matchups with the Giants and Vikings, who have allowed a lot of PPR points, particularly to these field stretcher guys. 8.1 points, 39 yards, and 24% TD probability right now. Honestly, would expect that to go up over the course of the week. Go to my only quarterback. This is kind of a cheat. Sam Darnold. He's 51% rostered, which is over my 50% threshold I like to use, but I don't understand how he's only 51% rostered. If you are in a league that is active and he's out there, one of these, you're not in the 49% or in the 49% he's available, go pick him up. 3 top 10 fantasy finishes this year. I mean, he's feeding a top offensive player of the year contender. He's got the Cardinals, Rams, and the Titans next, so a bit of an up and down schedule coming up. But yeah, surrounded by solid weapons. That's right. The Seahawks, see my notes, are the guys who just got Rashid Shaheed. So yeah, you just added a deep threat target to Sam Darnold's repertoire, and he's looking as good, better than I think he did last year in Minnesota. Yeah. So caveat, he's 51% roster, but if he's out there in your league, go get him. Projected for 18 points this week. You could do so much worse on a quarterback on the wire. And 2 tight ends. Colston Loveland of the Bears, 24% rostered. Whether Kmet is back, concussion protocol or not, Loveland just had his breakout A lot of it came on a big play, but he still had 60 or more yards and a touchdown before that. Giants rank 18th versus tight ends for fantasy. Certainly top 10 upside if Kmet sits, and probably just a guy you want to be rostering in the event that he breaks out, or if you have a keeper league or something and don't have an attractive guy. Only 4.5 PPR points and a 14% TD probability right now. That's because we have Kmet in. But like I said, kind of a contingency guy here. And Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave is not Tucker Kraft. He is not that good. But he's going, they were funneling the pass. I don't mean he's not good. I mean, he's not as good as Tucker Kraft. I just kind of laughed. The way I said that is I'm not hating on you, Luke Musgrave. I respect your mid-tier tight end skills. But look, there's a void to be filled, and opportunity is going to increase. You can get him for free off the wire. We project him for 7 PPR points and 31 yards and a 19% TD probability. And I personally think that's more representative of his floor than his ceiling this week. So if you're hurting, need a tight end, you got Jake Ferguson, Travis Kelce out this week. You could do worse than Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think I feel like the Packers tight end is usually a pretty good role to invest in regardless of name. I know Kraft has emerged, but even pre-Kraft and Musgrave has had good games here and there. Like there's so much fluctuation from their wide receiver room that whoever is tight end one just kind of feels like the baseline that paces the offense in those games, and loves a good tight end quarterback to have too. I buy the Musgrave shout here. 99% unrostered right now. Big time. If you held on to Loveland, like I have for 8 weeks leading up to this, finally a payoff. I think he's finally going to crack my starting lineup next week, and hopefully he can deliver regardless of if Cole Kmet returns or not.
I'm sure he's going to be listening to this, so I'm just going to take this advantage and say sorry, Ryan Lever, for doing it to you with the Colson Loveland 2-tutty 25-point performance in the Work Fantasy League. That was the decider with Dallas Goedert on the bye for me. So sorry, Rhino, but you're still in the running, so we're okay.
You killer, you dog, Dave. I love it. All right. Thank you for all the insights into the waiver wire. Hopefully we are helping you do what Dave did and get some fantasy football wins week to week. We've waited long enough. I've waited this entire episode for this moment. It's time for my favorite sport. Let's look at some college basketball season preview futures. All right, we are going to pull the model up and take a closer look live with a little screen share if you are watching the video version of this. Let me lay the groundwork for what to expect with college basketball this season. Some notes on how this sport is going to be at large this year. This is a pretty wide open year. There are a lot of really, really good teams. I don't know that there are a lot of guaranteed great teams. The top of the sport reflects the top of the polls, analytics services, whatever you're after. You'll see Purdue and Houston primarily in sort of a 1A, 1B tier at the top. The sportsbook odds certainly reflect that. Purdue just under 10-1 to win the national title. Houston right at 10-1 to win the national title. Our model favors Purdue by about 0.5 percentage point. But the important thing to call out for me, both these teams right around 6% likelihood to win a national championship, not necessarily in a tier of their own. I mean, 2%, maybe 1.5% higher than that third team, Duke, there down the list. But this is not a situation where the Dimers model reflects two teams that are going to be toe and toe ahead of everybody else in the sport. I think it's a pretty wide open year. We saw a lot of parity last year at times, but this year it really is a sport where I think there's roughly 15 teams that could end up finding themselves with a legitimate chance to win the national championship at the end of the year, which means from a futures perspective, my favorite way to approach this is look for some teams that are undervalued. And you think back one season ago, the eventual national champion Florida Gators were as deep as 60-1 at early points of last season before skyrocketing up the ranks and dominating in SEC play. I think you could see a season similar, maybe not a team as long as 60-1, but some teams around 20-1 or even further that have caught my attention. As far as storylines go for the sport as well, just want to note this freshman class is historically great. It's a 3-man race of 3-man NBA superstars in the future that are captaining their various teams. Cameron Boozer at Duke had a 24 rebound game in one of the exhibitions against Tennessee, historically one of the more physical rebounding programs that you'll find in college hoops. Boozer's a 6'11" point forward. He's going to take the Cooper Flag role and really deliver at the same level. And yes, that is the Boozer you're thinking of, Carlos Boozer's son, Cameron Boozer at Duke. Beyond him, you've got A.J. Debonsa at BYU, who's a sensational athlete, a freak talent. And then Darren Peterson, who draws Kobe Bryant comparisons from smart NBA draft people, calling him the most complete guard prospect we have seen in over 20 years. He's at Kansas. You'll see as you look at our model here, BYU down around 9th or 10th, most likely national champion. Kansas outside of that top 10. If you want to buy in to the idea that these sensational freshmen could translate to winning in championships and leadership and taking their teams there could be some value there. For me, I have a couple other teams that have caught my eye early on in the season that I want to shout out. So I will say for now, if you look on the site, we have just futures probabilities to win the national championship. I do believe as we get a little bit more data, it will be able to segment by conference. Hopefully we'll be able to speak to some of that as the season goes on. But for now, I'm mostly just going to look at the odds to win the national championship, and I'll give you 3 teams that I'm keeping an eye on. Some of these may have some value in lesser plays just to win their conference as well. But I want to start with the one that reminds me the most of Florida last season. It is Illinois all the way down at 40-1 to win the national championship. Now, Illinois, our model gives them a 2.3% probability, but that's really less than 0.5% away from teams that are priced at 22, 25-1, 27-1. You're catching 40-1. I think it's a pretty legitimate value play. Illinois' approach to roster building this year is quite unique. They have 3 different Balkan international players that are between 20, between 20 and 23 years old. And they've just exploited this loophole at this weird time in college basketball where professional basketball players can be eligible to play college basketball and be classified as a sophomore. It's worked, and they've built this insane roster full of them, mixed in with a couple American players, veterans that have been around the block like Kylan Boswell and Andres Stojakovic. So I love Illinois. They are passing the eye test right now. They hung over 100 points in their debut, and they're missing 2 key members of their team. The analytics have loved them. Ken Pomeroy, which is a site we always like to look at from a prognostication standpoint in the college basketball world. Ken Pom has had Illinois as his 6th best team in the country since before the season started. They're up to 5th after their first game, being priced in the sports books as the 20th best team, 20th most likely national champion. Our model shows some value as well. I think Illinois 40-1 is the long shot you need to bet before the season begins. There's also value on them to win the Big Ten because, as you'll note, they're in the same league as Purdue, who's at the very top of this list, the most likely national champion. So if you are buying Illinois, you want to take something that's a little bit safer, a little more likely probability-wise than winning the national championship, you can back them to win the Big Ten and get a pretty good price there as well. I'll shout out 2 more quick ones here, and one is in the SEC. It's at the top of this list and our 5 spot in terms of likelihood here. Kentucky with just over a 4% probability to win the national championship at 18-1. That's better odds than a couple other teams that also have a 4% probability right around them. Duke at 14-1, UConn at 17-1. Keep in mind, Kentucky, it's an exhibition, but they played Purdue last week in a highly watched, televised sellout exhibition in Rupp Arena in Lexington. Kentucky, without their starting point guard, without their starting center, stomped Purdue by 13 points and controlled that game, was up by as much as 20. Purdue was at full strength. Kentucky was not, and they looked that good. They spent more money on their roster than anybody else in the sports. Year 2 of Mark Pope. He was a big game coach last year. I think this may be the only time this season you see Kentucky at 18-1 odds if their season goes how I forecasted to. And then one last one to shout out. The UConn Huskies have been the dominant program in the sport for roughly 3 seasons. Last year was a bit of a down year, 2 national championships in a row before it. UConn priced 4th most likely here by our estimation, but the same price as a Michigan in the sports book, 17-1, with over a 0.5% more likelihood according to our model. UConn, notably, this is important to me. They're in the Big East, which is a weaker conference in the sport this year compared to Houston, Purdue, Kentucky, even a Duke in the ACC. Some of these teams that have a high likelihood here. UConn's going to run through their conference much easier than the others. They'll have a great chance to earn the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament because they will be stacking up wins along the way. Seeding really matters. When you get to the point where you just have to win 6 straight games in March to cut down the nets, I think UConn has a baked-in advantage this year that may not be showing in preseason models or valued by the sports books. At 17-1, I think that's worth a shot. So 2 more middle-of-the-pack teams here, UConn and Kentucky, both really double the odds of the favorite here, Purdue, while only being less than 2% away from our likelihood in terms of probabilities with the model. And then a long shot in Illinois at 40-1. That's a price I think we will look back on and think is crazy as little as a few weeks from now.
Thank you, Greg. Great insights as always. I'll be getting on all 3 of these teams, although I'll have to leave the lovely state of Connecticut to get UConn, as I am forbidden from within these borders.
We'll just attach you to Jace's next flight home to Australia, and you can
amen.
Take advantage of all these markets. Like Illinois with all their Balkans, we just have a team of Australians whenever we need it, hoping to power up championships. All right, thank you for indulging me with college basketball. Hopefully I'll have more updates for you as the season unfolds. For now, Dave, it is time for you to take the floor and lead us to some wins with our king of the court.
All right. Thank you very much, Greg, for your college football wisdom. As always, Greg has to run, so I'm going to take us the rest of the way here. But we're almost done, and we're going to pretty much wrap up here with our king of the court picks in the NBA for today, Tuesday, November 4th. If you are not familiar, this is one of our favorite promos in sports betting. You're playing for $1 million bonus bet jackpot. You just have to opt in on DraftKings, and you bet $5 on any applicable player prop that meets the odds threshold, like points, threes, assists, rebounds, etc. You use your king of the court token. If the player you pick leads all players that night in total PRA, you'll split the $1 million bonus bet pool with everyone who picked that player. We got spot on last week. We had Giannis as our top overall projected pick. We had Tyrese Maxey as one of our top long shots, and Greg and my personal pick of the show. They ended up tying at 52 PRA, so they chopped the pot for a $20 bonus bet. Would have been 108 for Maxey alone, but the point is the model was dialed in. We nailed that, and we're going to go right back at it tonight. And I'll pull up our picks for this go around here. Top overall projected guys are Giannis, SGA, and Paolo Banchero. Giannis is now a 3-times winner, likely only to become more popular as the promo runs on these smaller Tuesday slates instead of Wednesdays. He logged 58 PRA versus Toronto earlier this season. He's our number 1 projected guy tonight at 50.6. SGA is back in the top 2 again. He will face a solid Clippers defense, probably needs a big scoring night as his rebound assist numbers usually aren't pushing well into the double digits combined. Usually caps him around the mid-40s as far as PRA goes, unless he's exploding for well over 40 points. Also going to be a very popular chalk play tonight. Banchero is kind of an interesting one as far as being in the top 3. Certainly going to be the least popular of these 3 overall. He's off to his career best rebounding numbers this season, 9.3 per game, almost 2 higher than his career best last year when he only played about 40 games. He faces a Hawks team that's allowing the 3rd most rebounds per game this season. He is another guy who's going to need a scoring spike to reach crown level points, rebounds, and assists. He hasn't passed 50 yet, but he's had a couple really good games, double-digit rebounds in several games. We project him for 39.5, right there with SGA. So as far as bonus bet upside, You're getting much better value here on Banchero. And then for 2 long shot targets, we'll look at Josh Giddey. He's our 5th overall. He's coming off his first triple-double of the season versus the Knicks. He's constantly on the fringe of one. We've come up with him as a triple-double threat multiple times, just short in a couple games. He's facing a very middle-of-the-pack 76ers defense that's allowed multiple 44 to 50 PRA games. If he has a productive night throughout the box score, he's definitely in play as an upside. He's going to have to explode a bit, I think, to top someone like Giannis, SGA, just because of their scoring upside. But we saw it happen plenty of times last year, so there's no reason it can't be a guy like Giddey tonight. And for our last long shot, Steph Curry. He's 9th overall in our PA projections versus the Suns. Pretty weak defense. They're bottom 10 in points, rebounds, and assists allowed to opponents. He had a 55 PRA game earlier this season versus the Nuggets in a game that went to overtime. Feels like we're seeing a lot of overtime early this season. So, always a possibility, I guess, every night. Suns recently gave up a 68 PRA game to Lauri Markkanen. Obviously, Curry's not grabbing 15 to 20 rebounds, but certainly an upside matchup if he gets hot shooting. Maybe worth noting that the Pelicans and Hornets are 2 really good defensive targets tonight, but some of our top guys like Zion and LaMelo are questionable, probably going to be game time decisions. So, if you want to invest in one of those guys, you might just have to wait and see if they are actually going to be starting tonight or not. But yep, there you have it. Our 5 King of the Court targets for tonight. Hopefully we can get at least one of these in play and push for another successful week. If I had to pick one, I think I'm going to go Paolo. I'm going to play Paolo tonight. See if he can rebound from a kind of a disappointing game against the Hawks earlier this season. Give me a little bit of upside here. I like the rebounding talent for him. And let's play Paolo for me. So there you go. There's Dimer's King of the Court picks. This article will also be on site if you want to reference it at any point in time. All right, about to close the show here. We'll just look at what's coming up on Dimers this week.
What's on Dimers this week?
Okay, so we've got pretty much nightly stuff going on. NHL, NBA, college hoops every single day. As we showed you at the top of the show, we cashed an NHL parlay using the tools last week. On Saturday, 2 other users cashed big ones using the goal scorer projections. Really just can't stress it enough how much those tools are finding value for users and us pretty much every single day. Golf, no golf preview today on the show. A prediction for the Worldwide Technology Championship should be up sometime today or Wednesday latest. I'll either do a quick little dedicated episode for the tournament to put on YouTube, maybe on Spotify and stuff if you guys listen there, or we'll just have the article on site for Dimers Pros that'll have all of our best bets and insights there as well. You can expect our NFL coverage throughout the week. Thursday night, or the Thursday show, we'll have our deep dive into Week 10. Thursday night football preview, Thursday night football lotto parlay. We'll do Greg's College Corner on Thursday, as we did not have time to get to it today. So it should be a pretty big show. And until then, please like, subscribe, follow this show everywhere you can. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite platform, your platform of choice. Please show us the love. Help us continue to grow this show, improve it week by week, episode by episode for you guys, and bring you something little special every single time we open this bad boy up. So thank you for Greg, for me, for Jason, for all of us at Dimers. Please gamble responsibly, and we'll catch you on Thursday.